All right, hello everyone. Dariush, Sire, thanks so much for having me as a guest speaker. Jules, great presentation. Tough act to follow in both of those presentations, but I'll do my best. Okay, so as you heard, I'm the CEO of Pycap, which is a venture capital firm and an incubator that's registered with the Canadian federal government for the Startup Visa program. And I think I have a bit of a tradition when I do these Sire presentations, so I'm gonna continue that tradition now. If you are involved with Pycap as an incubator member, incubator alumni, or an advisor, please stand up. Okay, and I have a shout out as well to Moneybees Financial, if you could stand up as well. So Moneybees Financial is a member of our incubator program, and they have just become revenue positive. So congratulations, Moneybees. Okay, so this is my presentation. Embracing chaos. How artificial intelligence is redefining economic opportunities for startups. So as you heard, my name is Stuart Browne. I'm the CEO of Pycap. I'm also an investment committee member of an Ontario government-backed fund called OCI, which stands for the Ontario Centres of Innovation. They have about $350 million in assets under management. I'm also formerly an MBA and Master of Finance adjunct professor at the Schulich School of Business. I have also been a lecturer at the University of Toronto. And the courses I teach are all related to entrepreneurship, venture capital, corporate finance, private equity. And of course, I'm one of the founders and former CFO of a company called ChargerQuest. We've raised about $4 million in financing, and we have assets all over Canada within 7 provinces, about 200 publicly available charging stations. Okay, so embracing chaos. So as you can see, there's a lot of chaos and crises happening in the world right now. And I just saw on the CBC, they have a theory that the current US administration is deliberately operating in permanent chaos or crisis mode. And their theory is that the reason is because they want to bypass Congress and have overarching rule by executive order. So as you can see, there's border emergencies, drug emergencies, energy emergencies, trade emergencies, and the constant threat of invasion, or so we've been told. Of course, there's multiple wars happening. We've heard of the US strikes in Iran over the weekend, unfortunately. And I know we have a lot of Iranian friends here, so hopefully your friends and family back in the Middle East are safe. But just to name a few of the wars that are happening. Israel, Iran, as mentioned, Israel, Hamas, Israel, Hezbollah, the Ukraine, Russia, civil wars in Sudan, Yemen, and elsewhere. And then of course there's the trade wars. So we have the US versus China. We're all familiar with this stuff, but I'm just touching on it because I'm building up to a crescendo. The US, Canada, and Mexico related trade wars. Canada versus China. We have heard a lot about rare earths. 80% of the rare earths are actually located in China. And of course, that breeds a lot of complication and challenges because, as some of you may know, rare earths are essential for operating all of our technologies, smartphones, laptops, vehicles, etc. And of course, there's the endless tariff stacking. And all of this has caused insane amounts of market volatility. I think when Trump first announced the tariffs, there was a massive plummet in the stock market, all of the stock markets. And then all of a sudden he started dialing back the tariff rhetoric, and the stock market bounced back about 9% all in one day. That usually takes over a year. And then of course there's the uncertainty around trade policy, central bank hesitation on rates, and as well inflation. Entrepreneurs. If you want to be successful, you can't sit back and complain and get anxious and worried all of the time. If you really want to be successful, you have to look at all of these crises, the chaos, everything as opportunities. But I'd like to go back to Winston Churchill's saying that is quite famous, and I think very telling of the mindset that a successful entrepreneur needs to have in order to advance their company forward, which is never let a good crisis go to waste. So what do I mean by that? Has anyone here heard the term fall in love with the problem, not the solution? Do you know what the meaning of that is? Why is that such a significant saying in the world of startup culture? Yes?
They're just experiments. Problems what you're trying to fix.
That's exactly right, yeah. So as entrepreneurs, especially tech-driven people, engineers and what have you, there has been a tendency to fall in love with the solution. So create this amazing technology that works really well and is very impressive on a surface level, but in actuality doesn't really solve the problem that the market needs solving. So they're essentially creating a solution for a problem that doesn't exist. So as we heard from our friend in the front row here, we need to really understand what the problem is first, and then create a hypothesized solution, test that, and get the feedback loop going so you can continuously refine that solution to make sure that you have problem-solution fit or product-market fit. So that's essentially what we're talking about here. And in a world that has so much chaos in it, problems are in abundance. So when you're looking to design your problem, or maybe not design your problem, but design your solution, and you want to implement that feedback loop with the customer segment that you're targeting, try as much as you can to structure your business model in such a way that it is a painkiller as opposed to a vitamin or a candy. Does anyone know the difference from a metaphorical standpoint, what a painkiller is, or what a vitamin is, and what a candy is? So in previous presentations, I talk about the bleeding neck wound problem. So essentially, when you're an entrepreneur, you're trying to design a solution. Look for a problem that is as close to a bleeding neck wound as you possibly can. Because if you have a bleeding neck wound, I mean, this whole presentation is sounding very morbid at the moment, but it's going to get a lot more positive as we progress further. If you have a bleeding neck wound, you need to do everything you possibly can right now to find a solution. So if somebody is offering you a solution to stop the bleeding, you're going to pay whatever you can to get that. The demand is extremely high. So if the pain is really high, the chances of you as an entrepreneur to generate cash flow soon, predictably, and reoccurring is to target problems that are closer to something of relieving pain. Vitamins are great because they speak to longevity and health, etc. But the demand isn't as immediate as the pain or the pain-killing solution. And then of course, when we talk about candy, that's something that is not, you might have demand there, but it's not actually helping the customer. So candy might be like online gambling, for example. There's demand there, but are you really creating value in your customer in society. Okay, so when we speak of turning a crisis or chaos into an opportunity, there's actually a lot of examples out there. So these iconic brands that you see on the screen right here, Uber, Airbnb, WhatsApp, Slack, Pinterest, and Shopify, these were born within the Great Recession of the subprime market collapse, the economic crises between 2007 and 2009. Does anyone know the origin story of Airbnb? So what happened with Airbnb, I think it was around 2008, it was these struggling entrepreneurs that were having a challenge paying the rent. And there were all of these events happening in their local area of San Francisco. But of course, these events were attracting hundreds of thousands of people, and all of the hotels and everything, all of the actual bed and breakfasts were being booked up. And there's struggling entrepreneurs who wanted desperately to attend these tech events, had nowhere to stay. So of course, these struggling entrepreneurs in the San Francisco area said, okay, well, why don't we create this website and we all invite these event goers to stay in our house, and we'll inflate a airbed for them or an air mattress, and we'll serve them breakfast, and then they can attend the events, and we'll help have our rent paid, essentially. Of course, you know, the rest is history. That was a huge success. So then they scaled and they made iteration after iteration, and they always looked at it like, what are the problems that our market and our customer segment currently has? And at the time, of course, the customer who was renting someone's apartment or house, they didn't know if it was going to be good quality or not. So they implemented this rating system where every time someone used your accommodation through Airbnb, they were able to provide feedback and a rating. And that was a massive game-changing moment, and of course the company is worth billions of dollars. Another amazing example is a Canadian company called Shopify, which I believe all of you have heard of. It's the most valuable tech company. And during the COVID-19 pandemic crisis, remember, turning a crisis into an opportunity, their company was worth hundreds of billions of dollars. And it was actually, I think it peaked at $700 billion. It became the most valuable company in all of Canada. More so than RBC or any of the huge healthcare providers and companies and commodities companies. This little startup from Ottawa, created by an immigrant entrepreneur named Toby Lutke in 2008, was able to turn the crises of the pandemic, when all of these retail stores were shutting down, into the biggest opportunity for the company, because they were allowing all of these bricks and mortar retail stores all over Canada and elsewhere to easily and efficiently convert their store, which they could no longer bring in the foot traffic, into having an online presence. And these were store owners that have been used to running their business the same way their family has, and their parents and their grandparents, et cetera, for 100 years. But now, of course, they were able to enter into the digital world thanks to Toby Lutke and Shopify. Again, converting a crisis into an opportunity. Okay, so now for the second part of my presentation. Artificial intelligence, redefining economic opportunities. So AI is constantly in the news. We see it everywhere. We use it from time to time. But how can we leverage what we're doing with our business to not be obsolete by AI, but instead use it as an opportunity to scale and become a billion-dollar company? So I mentioned earlier that I'm an adjunct professor, or have been, at the Schulich School of Business. They consider me to be on hiatus because they're hoping I come back to teach the students there. But while I was teaching the students, it was interesting because I would have 50 of them every single semester in my class. Some of them wanted to be in venture capital, some of them wanted to be entrepreneurs to learn how to raise money from a VC, and then of course others wanted to get other jobs. And so I had to teach on, like, with two completely different mindsets, because it is completely different, the entrepreneur versus the employee. So I graduated from Schulich, I got my MBA, and when I was entering the workforce, the strategy among my peers and I were to, of course, get into a company and make yourself indispensable. And when I work with immigration law firms or accounting firms and I work with the employees of these companies, I can totally see they have a different mindset than all of you who are entrepreneurs who I work with at Pycap. And the main thing is when you're an employee, you want to make yourself indispensable. So you want to do as much work as you possibly can. You want to have as much information and projects and tasks go through you so everyone is depending on you. So what's the problem with that though? That means you have a massive amount of responsibility, or at least that's what you're aiming for. And you're at a stage where the company that you're working with, or the department, or whatever it's called, I'm like losing the terminology because I've been outside of the corporate world for such a long time. Everyone is depending on you, you are the gatekeeper. It's very challenging as an entrepreneur to work with people who are like that, but that's just the mindset of an employee. Now let's look at the complete polar opposite mindset of an entrepreneur. So as an entrepreneur, you don't want to be indispensable. In fact, you want the opposite. You want to be redundant. You want this company to be a machine operating on its own, printing money so that you are not being relied upon all the time for everything. I mean, it's the saying that I'm sure we've all heard of and everybody wants to strive for. I want to be able to make money when I sleep, or when I go on vacation, I want to actually enjoy myself. But what's even better? It's having a company that is generating money, flowing cash into your bank account. And if you're a real serial entrepreneur like Jules is, or I'm sure a lot of you in the room, and I feel and hope I am also, it's that once you get to the stage where you have created a company where it's like generating cash flow on its own, you can either go on vacation, retire, hang out at home, play video games, because you'll always be able to guarantee having that cash flow coming in. But instead, what would a venture capitalist or a serial entrepreneur want to do? Of course, use that opportunity to create the next company or invest in the next company. So you have another machine, and then another machine, and another machine. So then all of a sudden you have all of these assets that are just funneling money into your bank account. And that allows you to achieve exponential growth, obviously, because no longer is the hours of your life being exchanged for a given amount of salary, like a wage or something like that. So that's what we're really aiming for. Okay, so now we're going to start talking about artificial intelligence and how this all kind of relates to itself. There's a great quote from Sam Altman that for me personifies the opportunity of artificial intelligence. And the quote is right here. Soon there will be a multi-billion-dollar company run by only one person. And so you could start to kind of feel that we're on that path. I mean, every time you hear of the fear of AI taking over employment and making everything redundant, it is scary, but it's also exciting too. I'm just gonna skip ahead. Do you remember this slide? Those of you who are on the incubation program, the J curve, where we look at your burn rate versus your runway, and your cumulative cash flow. And the goal of every entrepreneur, because you're sitting at the top of the pyramid, you have to be on top of everything. Your mindset should not be, okay, I'm gonna freestyle it, I just raised a bunch of money, I'm good, I've become successful. Or I have some cash, I have some burn rate, or even I have some revenue coming in. If you have a finance background, and even if you don't, you really should be always thinking, okay, how could I bring down my burn rate as much as I possibly can without sacrificing the upscale potential? That's always the mathematical equation of it. I've always been thinking about in terms of running any business, is how do I put in less and get more? How do I generate a higher return? How can I bring down my burn rate, extend my runway, and then also hit scalability? And I can think of no better way to do that than artificial intelligence. Let me explain how and why. Has anyone heard of something called an AI agent? Has anyone created an AI agent before? You have, okay. What the heck is an AI agent? Do you want to tell us what an AI agent is?
Yeah, so to my experience, AI agent was a custom chat GPT, and I created that agent to provide recommendations for first aid for minor ailments. That was my AI agent.
Okay, sounds great. I'm gonna paraphrase a little bit.
Sure.
But thank you for that. Okay, so an AI agent is a self-directed software tool that thinks, acts, and adapts to complete tasks with, and this is my favorite part, little to no human input. Because again, I don't want to do anything. I don't want to have to pay for someone to do something. I want to do my own thing and have the machine doing everything for me as much as I possibly can. Or that's how us entrepreneurs need to think in order to become successful. Okay, so AI agents, just to break it down a little bit more, they're autonomous, they're goal-oriented, they're adaptive, and they are collaborative. So here are some additional examples of AI agents. So you might have a customer service agent, where somebody phones up and there's an artificial intelligent voice on the other end of the phone, indistinguishable from a human, who's able to answer questions, redirect the customer, provide a high level of information and service that you, as the entrepreneur, has trained to do, essentially. There's also marketing automation agent. So I put an asterisk there because over the last 3 days, I created my own AI agent. And I'm gonna walk you through how I was able to do that. There's a research agent, code assistant, AI agent, and a personal assistant agent as well. So you might have heard Elon Musk or Sam Altman or some of the other big thinkers in the world of AI say that one day we are all gonna have personal assistants who do all of these tasks for us. I remember one of the first AI agents that was created was by a kid that had no tech background who used ChatGPT to literally be able to say into his phone, I want a pizza. And then the AI agent was able to phone, or first look up online which pizza joints in the area had the best rating, then literally phone it on its own to the pizza place and order the favorite toppings that this guy likes as per his previous orders, and then the pizza was on its way, paid for, and delivered to him, and literally all he had to do was say into his phone, I want a pizza. So all of those different things moved and happened for him. So that's what an AI agent is. So again, I know there's some controversy around this whole topic in terms of employment and all of that sort of thing. But when you can't get around it, like when you're an entrepreneur, if you want to have a successful company, you have to bring down your costs and increase your revenue. That's just standard business. And if AI agents are going to let you not hire employees and save that capital so you can invest it in other opportunities, then the chances of your company being more successful are a lot higher. So that's essentially what we're doing. Leveraging AI will allow you to minimize your burn rate, but also achieve exponential growth as well. When we talk about exponential growth in the world of startups, that means using whatever capital that you have in a very smart, efficient way such that you break the correlation between the costs and the revenue that you're generating. So if you're a lawyer, you're charging maybe $500 an hour for your legal guidance. Or if you're in Toronto, maybe it's $2,000 an hour for your legal guidance. But anyways, you're trading hours of your life for $2,000 an hour. You only have a finite number of hours in your life that you can exchange for that cash. But if you were to instead replace yourself with an AI agent, they could service thousands, a million customers, clients, all at the same time, and it wouldn't cost anything more, theoretically. And you could still generate that income that I created within the last 3 days. So, and this will give you some insight in terms of what the heck an AI agent is, how it works. So, 3 days ago, I knew I had this presentation coming up. And of course, I knew a lot of the audience members would be members of my incubator. And I was thinking, okay, well, they've seen my curriculum in the online incubation program. They've attended other workshops I've provided. So I'm getting to the point where I'm like burning through a lot of the content that I've already created and taught to them. So I'm like, okay, well, what would be the most valuable thing I could bring to the table? And then I was thinking, okay, I keep hearing about these AI agents, and I know there's an opportunity for Pycap. So maybe I could kill two birds with one stone, use this presentation as a way to force myself to create an AI agent and have it done within 3 days so I could share it with all of you. Because I think that you'll receive a lot of value from that as well. And of course, it took a lot more work and time than I had anticipated, but I finally got there. And this is what I created. So when we talked about the definition of what an AI agent is, it says things like it works autonomously. It collaborates with other programs, other tools, other assets. It has goals, it adapts. And that's essentially what this is. So I created a marketing agent. And some of these AI agents, they're also referred to as workflow. So I'll just walk you through this. Okay, so I started off with this module. We're using AI agent lingo now. I went to manage.com and I created a scheduler. Firstly, sorry, let me dial it back. Well, what the heck, what was my goal? What did I start off with? Well, I wanted to create something that could autonomously do my marketing for me, because we all know how time consuming it is creating blogs, posting things on social media, advertising your business. It's an essential, necessary evil that we all need to do as entrepreneurs, of course, depending on your market. We have so much stuff to blast out at my company, but at the same time, I'm so busy running the company that I just don't have time to do it. So I was thinking, okay, well, instead of me hiring a marketing agency, wouldn't it be amazing if I created an AI agent to do this stuff for me? And what's my favorite 4-letter F word? I think those of you who know me will figure that out. Free. What else could I possibly be talking about with that word? Anyways, I do that joke with my students all the time. They get a kick out of it. Okay, so I was determined to be able to present to you an AI agent that I created within 3 days for free. You know what? It cost me $10, but this thing can run, according to ChatGPT, for the next 74 years, posting things for me every single week, brand new content. So my goal was to have this AI agent create a blog post with an image and post that on my website, and create a corresponding LinkedIn post and post it on my LinkedIn account, and create a corresponding Instagram post and post it on my Instagram account, all at the same time, where I have to do absolutely nothing after setting it up. So this automatically just happens. Okay, so how did I create this? Well, I used this program called manage.com to create a scheduler. Then I used ChatGPT to create the content and search online for any story related to Pycap that's already out there. And if there is no story, I trained the agent to look for things that are happening in the news that were related to venture capital, startup tech, entrepreneurship, startup visa program, all of the types of business that Pycap is involved with, and create a new content or a new blog post or LinkedIn post, etc. So the scheduler was set for every Tuesday at 9:30 p.m. The scheduler would say, hey, ChatGPT, go research Pycap out there and create an amazing article that you could use on these 3 different platforms. And then the next module is find an image that relates to the content that was created. So now ChatGPT goes over to Unsplash and says, search online for royalty-free images that you could use for this post. And then next step is merge the image and the content together and post it. So after kind of banging my head against the wall to do this for free, I was only successful at doing this for LinkedIn. I did not have enough time to do Instagram or my blog posts. I tried, and it just was hitting a brick wall over and over and over again. And the clock was ticking for Dariush, and I wanted to make sure that this presentation was finished. So I said, okay, LinkedIn, I'm gonna call that the success story. So I only have LinkedIn so far. So do you wanna see the result? It was actually posted. I ran it through and it got posted on LinkedIn. Again, all I had to do was click run because I wanted to test it out. It wasn't Tuesday at 9:30 p.m. or 9:30 a.m. But this will come out next Tuesday at 9:30 a.m. So after I ran it, here is the result. Okay, you can't read it, possibly because it's too small, but I could just tell you the post was not good. It was actually complete fluffy garbage. I'll read it to you. Recent search results did not yield specific news or events involving Pycap, a Canadian investment firm. Anyways, but then it talks about how great Pycap is and we're a VC firm. So very fluffy. So it worked, but here's the other thing. Remember I said it has to be adaptive? The thing that right now you need to do, just a FYI, because whenever I give lectures or talks, I always give the brutal truth. It needs more training. I need to go in there and refine what it's looking for. I have to specifically say certain things to train it. But then once I go through this iterative process, it's clear to me that it will become closer and closer to exactly what I was hoping for. And by the way, one of the main reasons why I didn't do the post on Instagram is because I think there would have been a fee associated with that. So I have to decide, is it worth it for me to do that? Or should I just stick with LinkedIn? And I'm still kind of working out the bugs to get it posted on the blog, on our website. So anyways, this is the net result. And as bad as it was, I actually got 2 likes. But then I immediately deleted it because I didn't want people to, anyways, you get the Well, so what I'm gonna do, if you're not following me on LinkedIn, later on in my presentation, and it's getting close to being finished, I'm gonna give you a QR code for my LinkedIn account in case you're curious about what sort of craziness is gonna be posted at 9:30 a.m. every Tuesday. you can see if it works. If it starts getting better, you could be like, okay, this, maybe I could use this. Okay, now I'm gonna show you something what I think is a little more interesting. So I mentioned to you that we have an incubator, and in our incubation program, we provide guidance and advice to entrepreneurs. So in my endless effort to make myself redundant, I created a game. And you know what, I'm just gonna play the video because I think the video could speak for itself.
Hi everyone, my name is Stuart Browne. I'm the CEO of Pycap, the venture capital firm and startup visa incubator. I just thought I would show all of you a very brief sneak peek of what we've been working on. It's this virtual platform, this kind of gamification of supporting entrepreneurs. And as you can see, we're in this Pycap virtual office here. And who's that? It's a virtual Pycap employee. So why don't we have a chat with this individual and see what he has to say for himself. And by the way, we can ask this virtual person anything we want, and we can actually engage with them in real time using our own voice. So let's test it out.
Oh no. Okay, classic scenario of the demo gods are not in my favor right now.
Internet issue.
Connection issue.
Yeah.
Okay, so as it buffers and hopefully it comes back online, I'll explain exactly what happened. It's actually really amazing. I used a program called Unreal Engine, which is a game engine that creates all of the top games that you see on like PS5 and Steam, Epic Games, like all of the latest, most amazing games are created. Fortnite is created using Unreal Engine, all of the big name. GTA 6 is being created on Unreal Engine. Okay, so that was my little...
Hello there, how are you?
Okay.
Hello, I'm doing well, thank you. How can I assist you today?
What's your name?
My name is Arthur Bowman. How can I assist you today?
Where do you work, Arthur?
I work at Pycap, a venture capital firm in Toronto. We specialize in supporting innovative startups through the Startup Visa program.
What's some advice that you have for entrepreneurs who want to start their business in the Canadian market?
One piece of advice I have for entrepreneurs looking to start their business in the Canadian market is to thoroughly research and understand the local market dynamics, including consumer preferences and regulatory requirements. Additionally, building a strong network and seeking mentorship from experienced entrepreneurs can provide valuable guidance and support throughout the journey. If you have any further questions or need assistance, feel free to reach out.
I think I'm good for now, but I'm looking forward to also introducing you to members of our incubation program at Pycap.
That sounds fantastic. I would be delighted to meet the members of your incubation program at Pycap. Please let me know.
This is not the program buffering, this is the internet connection. So it's a lot more seamless and smooth. Okay, so I'm sure it's gonna start playing and cut me off any second now, but.
When and where the introduction can take place, and I'll be there.
All right, everyone, so I hope you enjoyed that very brief little sneak peek of this product we're working on. Hopefully we'll be able to release it soon. If you're interested in learning more, send me a DM and maybe I'll introduce you to Arthur at some point. Have a great rest of your day. Bye.
Okay, if there's one AI site builder you need to meet, it's this dope tech firm.
Okay, anyways, I'm getting close to the end of my presentation. By the way, here's the LinkedIn if you want to follow me and see what kind of amazing content comes out on Tuesday mornings. But okay, so what did I do with that whole virtual program there? Like, that is 100% real. That is not an animation. That is a program that I created where you could explore this office and then talk to an employee. And all you have to do is press the letter T for talk, and you could speak into your microphone on your laptop and ask any question to this Pycap trained employee. And so, of course, just like the other AI agents that I talked about, it's a series of collaborative programs that I had to mash and tie together in order to work effectively. Like, it's one program does the animation, one program has the character assets, the other one does the controlling of the virtual room. And then I have a whole other program that is connected with artificial intelligence to create the identity of that individual and the content that they're going to be communicating to you. So I had to build a whole profile in terms of who is this person, what are they going to talk about, I could even program their personality. Like, I could say be super aggressive and angry and very irritable, or I could say be ridiculously friendly, or anywhere in between. And so I essentially created that with this program. What I was really wanting to do is do a live demo where all of you in the audience can ask questions, and this AI character will be able to converse with you. But of course, there's a risk in that, because I have no idea what's going to come out of its mouth. And there was a few times I had to redo the video because I would be asking the AI questions, and it would come up with answers that would not be good to promote Pycap with. Again, it's all about the training. Okay, so thanks so much, everyone, for allowing me to speak today. Great to see the familiar faces and the new faces of people who are just coming to a Pycap-related presentation for the first time. Again, thank you to Dariush and Sire for this opportunity. It's great to co-host an event with you, and look forward to doing it again. All right, thanks, everyone.
Thanks.